Let's meet some coaches from ICF Philippines. Every day for the entire duration of International Coaching Week, we will meet a couple of coaches who specialize in different types of coaching methodologies. Erna Lu Amechachura del Rosario, or Balot, is a budding professional coach focusing on grief coaching to help people who have experienced losses in their lives. She integrates her different roles as an NAHA certified Level 2 aromatherapist from the U.S. National Association of Holistic Aromatherapy and a certified associate coach of Neuro-Linguistic Programming, or NLP, from the American Board of NLP to help others find themselves again. Hi, Balot. How are you?
Hey, Coach. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Well, to be honest, this is the first time that I'm hearing of a coach that specializes in cases of grief. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about the kind of coaching that you do as a grief coach.
Specific to my case, because I was parang called to do grief coaching, I first researched about it. I'm involved in a community of women who are experiencing recurrent miscarriages. So that was really the trigger of why I wanted to do something coaching, especially when it comes to people who have experienced loss. And then it's a compilation of a lot of life experiences. I also lost my mom to an accident in December 2019. And so I decided that, I would want to offer or hold a space for people who might be experiencing grief because of a loss of a loved one, or, loss of their identity. And I stumbled upon grief coaching.
So, you learned how to coach from a coaching school that has trained you to handle pretty much any topic that the client sends your way. So, I'm curious to know, what are the differences when you coach as, let's say, a life coach versus when you coach as a grief coach?
Yeah, there's not much difference actually. The foundations that I learned from Benchmark were very helpful in terms of the creative and the scientific process of coaching. I think what just added to my being a grief coach is the study of different schools of thought when it comes to dealing with grief, because there's a lot of different ideas of many people when it comes to coping with grief. And so I had to understand those different areas so that I can hold the space for that person who is grieving wherever they may be.
I don't think there are a lot of grief coaches in ICF. And so I'm really wondering, like, what got you into becoming a grief coach?
Um, as I mentioned, I was kind of called into it because I experienced a lot of losses in my life personally. So I had two miscarriages. And I also lost my mom very abruptly due to an accident. I almost lost my husband as well in 2017 because of some unfortunate accident. A bacteria ate his heart out of nowhere. So, a lot of these things I realized that many people are going through transitions like these very challenging transitions in their lives. And I just want to be the coach that I wished I had during those times. Because especially for those women who experience recurrent miscarriages, a lot of people around them do not understand what they're really going through, like the loss of a child. Sometimes even their husbands would not understand the depth of their grief. And from the different coaches that I have talked to over the past months, it's really nice probably to have someone who have went through the same thing to understand what they're really going through.
So, what I'm hearing, Balot, is that there are very specific events in your life that nudged you to becoming a grief coach. And I would really like to know a little bit more about your experiences working with clients as a grief coach.
Yeah, initially I was very hesitant to do this. I mean, grief is such a very heavy feeling, and I wondered if I would be ready for it or if ever I will ever be ready for it. And then I took the advice, of course, of my mentor coach and did actual grief coaching for some women who have experienced through losses. And after those sessions, I realized that in my own little way, I could really help them through coaching. And it was so fulfilling and amazing to see the transformation that you usually get during a coaching session, where at the start of a coaching session, you see someone who, especially with grief coaching, you see them crying. So there's a lot of crying in our sessions. So you see them crying, you see them really down and lost. And then with just probably an hour, you see that their energy or their aura become different. And it's so amazing to see that. And just really holding that space for them makes a lot of difference.
As you talk about it, Balot, it really feels to me like you are doing some sort of profound service when you talk to these people. And I hear that you said, after about an hour, there's some sort of transformation that goes on. And I'm wondering, Balot, in case there are other people out there who feel called to become a grief coach, like what advice would you want to give them?
I think more than anything else, not only in grief coaching, but really coaching in general, it's really having that heart and the genuine compassion and concern to help other people move from point A to point B, right? So whether that be in a transition because of a loss or even their life events, because I also do a little bit of life coaching on the side for those who may require it. It's really just getting them from point A to point B through coaching. And I think that's really the most important part, that you have it in your heart, as what my coach is saying, Julius, it's mission really coming first before anything else, because I think that's really where the fulfillment is coming from.
So, Balot, this is something that I've heard time and time again. A lot of coaches have said that for them, coaching isn't just a profession, it's actually a vocation or a calling. And I want to thank you for really sharing such a personal part of your life during this interview. And I was wondering if there's anything else that you might want to say to anyone who is either thinking of being coached by you or of pursuing the path of becoming a grief coach.
Well, I think it's really the best place to start is to look for someone to guide you through the whole coaching process. ICF has been very, very helpful. And the foundations that I've learned from the school, which is accredited by ICF, of course, has played a major role, because I see a lot of coaching programs out there that claims to produce coaching graduates, but I see a big difference in terms of training. So maybe they would want to look into that if they would really want to be a professional coach. And I go back to what I said of going back to your heart and really knowing what it is that you really want to do. And if it's something that, because I've really dreamt of helping people, and coaching just arrived at my lap, and it's a perfect, as what you said, vocation for me to focus on at this time of my life. So yeah, if they feel called to do grief coaching or any other types of coaching, for that matter, then just do it. Probably just really do it, and you'll be doing a great deal of service to everyone by making coaching accessible to a lot of people.
Thank you so much, Balot, for your generosity and sharing so much of what you do as a grief coach, and for joining us today in our celebration of International Coaching Week.